There's no bad conditions. There's only weakness.
This now famous clip of Alex Megos comes from the climbing film Rotpunkt by Patagonia, which follows Alex's journey as he tries to send Perfecto Mundo, this 9B plus in Margalef, Spain, that he did the first ascent of. Now at that point, Alex had already been trying Perfecto Mundo for a while, and it had been his longest project to that point. And the film does a very good job showing his mental side and the struggles he had been facing with not being able to do this climb. Some people might say that Alex is being too hard on himself. He's saying that he's weak and therefore that he cannot do this climb. However, I would disagree, and I would choose to view it as Alex reframing the situation and viewing it from a Stoic point of view, and I will explain what I mean by that. There's a lot of information out there online about Stoicism and about its principles, and it can get kind of complicated, but I would kind of sum up the main tenet of Stoicism in very simply not complaining about the state of things that you cannot control and choose instead to take responsibility about the things that you can control and do something about those. And that is exactly what Alex is doing in this situation from my point of view. He's choosing not to blame the conditions, either that is, humidity and temperature and so on, and the state of his skin, but to instead reframe the situation and put it in terms that he can control, which is his weakness or his, ability to climb, and his strength and his conditioning, which is all factors that he can directly have influence over. And I think that climbing is great because apart from all the other ways that it is valuable to us, it gives us the consistent opportunity to practice this core Stoic principle and help us apply it then in other areas of our lives as well. I'll give you a personal example here just to make things a bit more concrete. I am 165 centimeters tall, which is just 5'5" in inches, and I'm often frustrated about my height and the limitations it brings with it when I'm climbing. I often compare myself with other taller climbers and I feel bad because they can do moves that I can't just by reaching up and grabbing certain holds that I would have to dyno for example. When I can't do a boulder problem or a route because of my height disadvantage, I will start feeling annoyed, despondent. I will feel it's unfair that the route setters are kind of discriminating against me and that other climbers don't need to use as much strength or technique or whatever it is. But on some of my better days, I think, so what? Like, what is the point of having it easy? Did we start climbing just to find an easy way to get up things? No, we specifically find the hardest ways possible to get up random bits of rock or plastic. Otherwise, we would just be using ladders to get up them. And we did the same thing with video games to increase our enjoyment of them by setting the difficulty level to epic or legendary or whatever it was, just because things were more fun when they were more challenging. And somehow now I would complain just because I get more challenged on a certain boulder than other people. Isn't challenge all I'm there for, actually? I think this feeling of unfairness and of entitlement I feel for being able to do a certain boulder or route is really about my ego. And my ego needs to protect itself by being able to assert that it is superior to other climbers by me being able to do, let's say, V10 when the other climbers around me cannot. But it might be very possible that doing a V7 for me personally is as hard as doing a V10 for another climber. But this doesn't really matter to my ego because ego loves the comparisons and the concreteness of grades and, metrics. But this type of ego is what's actually holding me back from being able to focus my attention on the things that will actually make me a better climber. Things like focusing on improving my technique, improving my flexibility, improving my other weaknesses, improving my strength, trying actually harder. And so what if I need to try harder and be better than other taller climbers? In the end, we value more the things we have put more effort into, as I was talking about also in my previous video. Instead of tying my self-worth to the grade I achieve, I could instead derive a sense of satisfaction from the actual effort I put into the things and how much learning I can get from a certain problem. So in the end, this entire video is in a sense a note to myself. It's about telling myself to not complain about my height or whatever other variable I can't actually control, and instead put my attention and energy into the things I do control. Some of these concepts are also mentioned in the book The Rock Warrior's Way by Arno Engler, which I'm planning to make a video on quite soon. And of course in books on Stoicism by Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, and the more modern takes on those like Ego is the Enemy and The Obstacle is the Way, for example, by Ryan Holiday. I will put some links to all of those in the description below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of the struggles I mentioned here, and see you all in the next video.